Hello, welcome back to the Fox Strength Performance YouTube channel. I am Taylor Fox, and we are finally making another video. This is mainly to go over OSG regional show that I did, so the Northeast Regional show, which is the first one up in Pittsburgh, Massachusetts. Definitely an interesting experience, and then kind of just go over what I'm doing now, what are the plans for the future. Made the trip up to Massachusetts, felt like it was a pretty optimal show to do. Get up there like the day before, stay over, and I got a pretty close, hotel to where the venue was. And then we get an email like 3 days before, oh, the venue was flooded, there's no electricity, there's no water, both like components blew out, so like the place is completely just, done. There's no way you can hold a strongman show there. So the promoter, Big Will, had decided just to go with his gym, which is a very small gym. It was very humid. It was like literally like a swamp of neoprene and sweat and chalk, blood at the end of the show. But I mean, overall, it was still an environment where, like, if you're a competitive strongman, you can come in and compete and do well at events and win. It just wasn't what we would expect as far as like, this is OSG, like this is a step down from OSG Worlds, like this is the pedigree they should be upholding. But I really only have myself to blame as far as like not having a great performance, and it did not go well. So we're going to get into the events a little bit. The first one being axle clean and press, 0. I honestly felt very good in warm-ups. I felt very good when I cleaned the bar out in the competition floor. I did get a little forward as I tried to front rack it and had to kind of like dip under it, and then that caused me to stumble forward. But overall, it's something that's happened in training, and I should have been able to recover and press it. It didn't happen. I got it twice like above my head and couldn't stabilize well and dropped it, and then literally was just so blasted I couldn't reclean it. And I think that's something where I was like noticing that beforehand, like taking warm-ups, and it kind of was just fine. Like, I need to sit and just sit here with water and wait. And I don't know if that was like the heat in the beginning, the humidity in the place, because it wasn't hot outside. It was like 65 degrees that day. Or if it was just something else, like my training leading up to it. So I decided I was just like kind of like exhausted from training and a week out, had my final session, and I was like, I'm good. I've done like a total of like less than an hour of training the week of the contest. I think that's a little more optimal, taking full 7 days off and not really doing anything. Proved to not be a good decision, so good learning experience for me. But yeah, I just felt very off, and it's funny now when we're going to get into this a little bit more, but I have strict pressed 325 on log out of the rack. So it's like, am I that much better at log press? Like, I know that the positioning with the axle, doing the clean, obviously is a lot more difficult for me. Like, I was like, I've got to go thumbless, get the front rack, but then I was finding my clean wasn't as good thumbless, so then I switched to thumbs, but then my press isn't as good with my thumbs around the bar. It changes my position a lot. And it's just like, what's the difference? Or was it literally just like a bad day, a bad week, bad prep leading up to it, like focusing way too much on bar from the floor, not enough pressing volume out of the rack, not enough like specific focus on events. Like, I tried to get through stuff and be done so I could do assistance work and feel like I was building my strength up, but I really needed to focus on that specificity. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I do feel a lot better about it now. I think if I'd made this video the week after, I'd be like still very upset about it. Second event was axle deadlift. Some people argue it's like axle was kind of lazy. I like axle deadlift. Don't like axle clean and press, but like, it's good events. I do understand the criticism there, but before me, the only results were 1 rep for the other competitors. So I was like, I gotta get 2 reps at least, and I felt like I had 3 in me. I get out there, pull the first rep, feels good, but my hamstring on the right side pops, and I'm just like, shit. So I get down, they're giving up commands, so I just try to stay tight to the bar, give the up command, pull it again. Very hard second rep, but I was like, it's coming, I got it. So now I'm in the lead on that event. I unstrapped because I was like, I gotta make sure my hamstring's okay and like take a break. I really did think I could get that third rep, but I was very like hesitant and just trying to make sure like the hamstring felt good in the bottom, like pulling that bar off the floor, and I just didn't feel like I could put a ton of pressure in. And I was also very exhausted, like the bar didn't move at all. So I think I was done either way there. But that's what happened. Overall, good result. And then the next guy, Justin, came up and got 4. And I was like, that was probably out of my reach anyway. So whatever, second place on that event. We move on to sandbag max distance carry. I'm like, this is where I got to hit home run. I've had a 0, but now I've had a second place. I can really like kind of start to make things up. We had like preemptively been like, just chalk the sandbag because it was a brand new sandbag. Like they had literally gotten it in the week of or the week before. So 370 sandbag, got a good pick on it. Really felt very comfortable just lapping it, pulling it in, stood up and just started walking with it and really trying to move fast and have good turns because it was only 25-foot increments. And I really moved, and like honestly, everything up until 125 feet felt very good. It was just coming down to that 150 mark where it was like, oh my God, like glutes are done, legs are turned into jello. It was very hard to hold the bag. And I'm like trying to get to the 150 line, and that would have, tied Sean. So I'm like, I knew he just needed to get the tie. And I really wanted to get the turn and this like kind of jump and get like, whatever, 152 feet. But I realized I just couldn't make the turn. Like I could only just go forward. So I just went forward, got the bag over the line for 150 feet and tied for first place, which, optimally I would like to get the full points and also take points away from competitor, but it is what it is. That's what the result was. And I can only like just sit here and learn from it and move on to the next show. But I did feel like that event I trained well and I was prepared for it. And then I was really felt like I had like some promising results ready for yoke to farmers, although the farmers they were using were those like slick side loaded ones. I don't know. A lot of people it messed a lot of people up on grip, and I don't really know if it's an implement that should be used at this kind of show, let alone like ever with weight like 365. The yoke was a 940 or 950 yoke. There was kind of some back and forth about that, but it was the Bartos yoke that's really, really wide. So it was like, I've been training, I've had a SC joint sprain, getting my hands inside the uprights is really tough. And then all of a sudden you show up and there's a yoke that's super wide and I can get my hands inside, but then we couldn't take any warm-ups on the actual yoke for the competition. That's right, like 0 warm-ups on the actual competition implement. They gave us like literally like a dinky, like barely weighed anything empty yoke, and it was kind of like placed on the concrete on one side and on the stall mat on the other. So it wasn't even level. And it was like, here, just pick this to warm up. And it was like, okay. Like, and we were all in the same boat. Like we all did some distance with the yoke. I think 3 of us finished the yoke. And then Sean was the only one that got close to finishing the farmers. Me and another guy didn't even move the farmers. But I mean, I kind of like went back and forth between techniques. It was like, okay, I'm going hands outside the uprights. And then I was like, no, I can go inside because it's too wide. But I really hadn't practiced that. And I needed to really account for the bar position with how wide the yoke was and, that weight and how much it's going to be swinging and slipping. So it was like a lot of different like approaches for me for that 50 feet and pretty fatiguing. So I felt like I built momentum coming back down the course and finished the yoke, but then it was like you have 10 seconds left. And honestly, I grabbed the farmers and it was like my hamstring was just done. So trying to pick that just wasn't smart to get, some amount of feet that wasn't going to really beat anyone anyway. Like I'd really maxed out the points that I was going to get at that point. If I had saved 20 extra seconds by doing the yoke faster, it would have been a different story. But at that point, it was just like, just call it. And then this is where I was like, okay, like everything else made sense, just not a great performance. But this was like, I don't know like what's going on. And I really pride myself in being a great loader and being able to load anything. And even if I'm fatigued at the end of the show, like really getting after it and making sure I can get those reps. So I'm like excited about the sandbag load. Again, a very repetitive event because you already did the sandbag. Now, got a bunch of sweaty dudes carrying the sandbag around for max distance. Now you're going to do it for a loading event with the yoke, the one yoke that you brought. But I mean, overall, it's like these are reps I should get. And I picked the sandbag. I was locked and ready, lapped it or like tried to lap it, but it was like more on the front of my knees and it just like slipped, fell. And then that was like just me unraveling. Like I picked it again, really tried to focus on getting it in. And then I felt like I couldn't get a good grip on it. I don't know why I decided to rush it because usually I try to get my hips back and then pop forward. But I just tried to go straight up. I got it to the bar and then just couldn't load it over the bar, obviously. So that was unfortunate. And then that drop on that rep, it kind of dropped under the crossbar. And so I'm standing there looking like, can I go around and pick it from the other side? He was like, yeah, that's fine. And then I just was done picking it. I realized like I was trying to use liquid chalk for a couple events and the sweat, like the moment I did any effort, the sweat just came and like it just made it like a soap. So it wasn't really a good approach. I know for like the future, I really should have like a towel there for these type of events where I can like take 5 seconds and really wipe my arms to make sure they're dry, and then blocks of chalk I think is better for this kind of thing, especially with the environment. And that's the strongman. That's the kind of thing like you look at tacky, you look at different pieces of equipment that you're going to wear. Like it changes depending on the environment and the climate, and if you're inside or outside. So definitely a learning experience there. I was just very like disappointed in myself. Like 0-2 events, like a big show. Like I can't remember the last time I 0-2 events. It's pretty depressing, but we have moved on. So with the hamstring injury, I was like, I'm just going to focus on pressing. Obviously, hadn't done a lot of seated pressing out of the rack and stuff like that. It was more like lower volume, clean and press type of training. So I'll put in some clips here of training I've done recently, which is now 2-3 weeks ago at this point. But I was just really like, I'm going to hammer like doing some like military press with the bar, very straight up on this rep adjustable bench that I have in the garage, and then they have the man arrays at power build. So it's very uncomfortable because I get here and I'm like, I feel like I'm so forward with the bar. And I've really only accomplished like 185 for 10, 205 for 9, and then 3 sets of 8 at 205. So like it's been tough for me, but I can tell like the reps with that weight is really pushing my pressing back up. And then on my second day, I've been doing pin press with the log, like just off my chest at an incline using the Titan rackable log, and that's felt pretty good. I got up to 290 for 4 sets of 6 this most recent week. I started with like 270 doing 6s in the footage you'll see. And then I was like, all right, let's throw in some standing stuff. Fortunately, jump back in on deadlift. I'll have a deadlift video in the future for that session. And then the next day, we went to the beach. It was the day before my birthday. Pulled the left hamstring. So now hamstring injuries on both sides. Great. Do a push press. I'm not going to clean it from the floor. So I'll just do strict press. And, I went in on my birthday after going out to dinner, log out of the rack, and it was just feeling really good. Did worked up in 5s, ended up doing 285 for 4, got out of position on the 5th rep. I did push press it, so I did 1 push press rep this session, but got that weight and it felt really good, and I was like, I think I can rest and take a single at something. So I put 325 on there. I have only ever strict pressed 300 on a log, so technically a 25-pound PR. Also the weight I missed on the axle. So I felt like it was a huge confidence builder. I was really happy about that. And just like to be my birthday, to turn 33 and just hit like a nice weight that I've really not been confident about is great. And I feel like having that pressing volume in there, focusing on some different movements, has really like helped to push that up. I've gotten back to the giant sets a little bit, like making sure I have my row exercises in, making sure I have my abdominal and core stuff in there. And then just like some secondary stuff that I felt like was tough and good, like time under tension. So I've been doing the Kabuki bar, Cadillac bar, or I've had the Titan neutral grip bar in here, and just doing some flat bench press, trying to pause at the chest and then press off. Sometimes a little too little of a pause, but I feel like I've got a good stretch and like it's been a good position for me to train, and doing like 8s to 10s with that. And then just because it's there close by, grab the 88-pound kettlebell, rowing that for sets of 10, bent over, real strict and trying to just like pull the elbow back, contract the lat, not a ton of twisting. Touch the floor each time with the bell. Make sure you get full range of motion, a good stretch, and then prone bridge arm marches, which I think are brutal, but they're very good, especially training the core with the upper body component in there. So that's had me excited, and I think like that's really what I'm going to push. Like I want to squat today, really doing legs for the first time since the comp. I've deadlifted and I want to keep pushing the deadlift up. I think I would like to jump in on the online qualifier, or I'll just look to do the last regional show in Maryland. But I'm pumped to give it another shot. And I think I feel strong. Like I do like the events, whether it's regional show or the online qualifier. So I'm going to try to get those events in, get videos made, see where we go with that. And really just focus on the pressing. Like obviously 735 on axle being a lot of weight. Like I was like, I got to train deadlift and then I got to train yoke. And I've made a lot of progress with that. I had to throw some sandbag in there and farmers, which is where kind of like things went wrong because then I hurt my SC joint. That's been a major problem. And I really just I spend a lot more time like on the rack with a bar pressing or a log, and then also doing stuff from the floor, cleaning it, and make sure that I'm strong in those positions and being able to press the weight like that. Because otherwise I don't, I'm not really going to survive in the sport if I don't really get that together. Obviously, like a glaring weak point from this past competition and something that like sticks out to people pretty well, like, oh, he can't even press that, so like why would he be invited to the world show where it's going to be, I mean, they put it out, it's a 380 log, you have the option between a 380 log or a 350 log. So definitely something where I got to make sure that I can push this kind of weight and be strong in these press variations. But that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely going to get back on track with more videos in the future. I'm excited to start making more content again and get the ball rolling with the channel. But until next time, keep lifting those heavy weights and hold strong.